Here's a strange thought. Some of the smartest people in the world look absolutely insane if you watch them for 5 minutes. They talk to themselves. They pace around like they're preparing for a boxing match. They forget their coffee on top of the car. Twice. But here's the crazy part. Those weird little quirks? They're not random. They're signs of a ridiculously high IQ. So before you assume your oddball friend is losing it, you might just be staring at a genius in disguise. And what you're about to find out today are 10 weird habits that secretly reveal high intelligence people. And trust me, some of these will make you laugh, some will make you uncomfortable, and a few might just make you realize, oh crap, I do that too. Habit number 1, talking to yourself out loud. Now hold up, before you start thinking that's ridiculous, just listen up, because you might learn something here. High IQ individuals talk to themselves out loud. In the kitchen, in the shower, in the car, doesn't matter. They're running through ideas, solving problems, and thinking in real time. Albert Einstein used to mutter equations under his breath like he was casting spells. Nikola Tesla would walk around reciting entire blueprints for inventions before writing anything down. Meanwhile, the rest of us are screaming at the microwave because it beeped too loud. Here's the science. Verbal self-talk helps organize complex thoughts. It's like putting your brain on speakerphone. Studies show it boosts memory, improves focus, and helps with problem solving. So the next time someone catches you whispering about how broke you are while standing in front of your fridge, just say, "Relax, I'm a genius in progress." But if you think talking to yourself is strange, wait until you see the next habit. Because geniuses, they tend to live in complete chaos. Habit number 2, messy desks, messy rooms, brilliant minds. Ever heard the saying, a cluttered desk is a sign of a cluttered mind? Yeah, try again. A cluttered desk is often a sign you're smarter than the average bear. Look, Einstein's desk looked like a tornado hit a library. Steve Jobs was notorious for piles of random papers and half-finished projects. Why? Because high IQ brains are busy creating, not cleaning. They prioritize solving complex problems over organizing their sock drawer. Of course, this doesn't mean every messy person is a genius. Some people are just lazy. But research shows a messy environment can actually stimulate creativity and unconventional thinking. Here's the takeaway. That pile of laundry on your chair isn't proof you're a slob. It might just be evidence that your brain is running at full speed on bigger problems, like how to get out of debt without selling plasma. Now, being messy is one thing, but geniuses don't just let their desks get chaotic. They also let their sleep schedules go completely off the rails. Habit number 3, staying up ridiculously late. Now, this one I can most definitely relate to. If you're the kind of person who's wide awake at 2 a.m., binge-watching documentaries on ancient civilizations or stock trading strategies, congratulations, you're in good company. High IQ people are more likely to be night owls. They thrive at night when the world is quiet, distractions are gone, and their brain can just run wild. Think about it. Benjamin Franklin said, "Early to bed, early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise." Guess what? He wasn't a genius. He was just tired. Night owls tend to be more creative, better at problem solving, and more adaptive. They also tend to question authority, which makes sense because who else stays awake thinking, do we even need daylight savings time? So if you've been beating yourself up for staying up late, stop. That midnight burst of energy might be proof your brain is wired for brilliance. But hold up, it's not just about weird habits we're talking about here. Having a high IQ requires financial education. And on the Stealth Wealth channel, we've created an entire financial freedom playlist to help you level up your money game. When you finish watching this video, make sure to go through our playlist and subscribe to the channel to stay notified every time we post a new video. But anyway, now staying up late is just the warm-up. The real weird habit is what geniuses do with that time. And trust me, it's not Netflix. Habit number 4, obsessive note-taking on random stuff. Let's be real, smart people are notorious scribblers. They write down everything. Ideas, dreams, grocery lists that look more like startup pitches. Leonardo da Vinci's notebooks are legendary. Dude sketched flying machines centuries before airplanes existed. He also doodled grocery lists with pictures of cows, because apparently genius can't remember milk without drawing it. The point is, high IQ individuals don't trust their brain to just remember later. They externalize their thoughts. Sticky notes, journals, phone apps, even random napkins from Starbucks. If they can write on it, they will. It looks chaotic, but it's how their brains capture fleeting insights before they vanish. You might call it overkill. They call it Tuesday. So if you've got a drawer full of half-written notebooks, congratulations. You're not a hoarder, you're an intellectual historian. And speaking of overkill, geniuses aren't just writing things down. They're obsessing over details you didn't even know existed. Habit number 5, hyper-focus on tiny details. Here's where smart people get a bad rap. They'll notice the tiniest things that no one else cares about. And sometimes it drives people crazy. You know that friend who points out every typo in a text message? Or the coworker who can't focus in a meeting because the projector screen is tilted 1 inch to the left? Yeah. High IQ brains are wired like Ultra HD cameras. It's not nitpicking for the sake of being annoying. It's pattern recognition on steroids. Their brains are constantly scanning, analyzing, connecting dots, spotting problems before they even exist. This is why a guy like Steve Jobs obsessed over the fonts on the first Macintosh computer. He believed details most people overlooked shaped the entire user experience. And he was right. It changed design forever. I mean, even on a smaller scale. Think about money. The genius isn't just budgeting. They're catching the hidden $4 monthly charge for some free trial you forgot to cancel 2 years ago. Tiny details compound over time. And high IQ people know that better than anyone. So the next time someone calls you obsessive for noticing the tiniest imperfections, don't apologize. Just tell them you're not nitpicking, you're future-proofing. But let's be honest, even the smartest brains can't handle every detail. And that's why geniuses have a weird habit of doing absolutely nothing. Habit number 6, staring into space, aka daydreaming. Let's be honest, nothing looks dumber than staring blankly at a wall for 10 minutes. To everyone else, you look like your brain just blue-screened. But here's the twist. Inside your head, a full-on IMAX movie is playing. High IQ brains don't just daydream for fun. They need to. When geniuses zone out, they're not avoiding reality. They're simulating it. Their minds are running through possibilities, solving puzzles, and connecting dots that the average brain doesn't even see. Think about it like background apps on your phone. Normal people close everything to save battery. Geniuses, they let 20 apps run at once because their mental processor can actually handle it. Albert Einstein admitted he came up with some of his biggest breakthroughs by literally just staring off into space. Same with Newton. He wasn't grinding math problems 24/7. He was chilling under a tree when the apple fell and smacked him into history. And here's where it ties back to real life. Most of the financial moves that make people rich don't come from slaving at a desk. They come from imagination. That weird mental wandering could be the reason you finally spot a side hustle idea, a market trend, or a sneaky way to save thousands. So if your teacher, boss, or even your girlfriend catches you zoning out, don't panic. You're not being lazy. You're running mental simulations of your millionaire future. And while they're busy staring into space, geniuses also have another strange habit. They get physically restless, like their brains are dragging their bodies along for the ride. Habit number 7, pacing while thinking. Now I know you've seen this one before. Someone literally walking back and forth in the kitchen, muttering to themselves like they're preparing to argue with the IRS. It looks bizarre, but here's the truth. Pacing is a genius-level brain hack. When high IQ people walk, their brains literally fire differently. Movement activates more regions of the brain, boosting creativity and problem solving. That's why Steve Jobs made people walk with him during meetings. He knew ideas flowed better on the move than in some stale conference room. Think about it. You probably pace too. Ever been on the phone, deep in conversation, and suddenly you're 10 laps into your apartment? That's your brain saying, "We need horsepower. Start moving those legs." Even Aristotle couldn't sit still. He taught philosophy while strolling around the gardens like some ancient TED talker. And here's the finance angle. Some of the best money ideas hit when you're not glued to a spreadsheet, but when you're moving. Pacing around your living room at 1 a.m. isn't restlessness. It's your brain trying to figure out how to pay off that credit card without selling a kidney. So if you're pacing back and forth like you're training for a boxing match, don't be embarrassed. That's not stress. That's high IQ strategy in motion. You're literally walking yourself into brilliance. Okay, but here's where it gets really weird. Because some geniuses don't just pace around, they argue with imaginary people who aren't even there. Habit number 8, arguing with imaginary people. All right, this is where smart people really start to look unhinged. You ever walk into a room and catch someone mid-argument, but there's no one else there? Over there, pacing, gesturing, and saying things like, oh, really? Well, what about this? That's not insanity. That's genius rehearsal. High IQ people debate with imaginary opponents. They'll run through an entire conversation before it happens, arguing both sides like they're hosting their own courtroom drama. It looks weird from the outside, but on the inside, it's a tactical simulation. Why? Because their brains love preparedness. They don't want to just wing it in real life. They want to anticipate objections, stress test ideas, and sharpen their logic before stepping into the ring. Think about it. A top lawyer doesn't wait for the courtroom to practice their arguments. They prep, rehearse, anticipate. High IQ brains do the exact same thing. Except sometimes they do it in the shower, out loud, with shampoo bottles, as the jury. And let's tie this to money. Ever notice how rich people always seem to have an answer ready when someone challenges their choices? That's not confidence out of nowhere. It's because they've already debated it with themselves 100 times. They've rehearsed how to justify investing in real estate instead of blowing cash on a new car. Meanwhile, the average person gets blindsided in arguments about money because they've never practiced. They just go with, I don't know. It felt right. Genius-level thinkers, they've already fought their imaginary critics and won. So if you've ever caught yourself in the mirror saying, "No, Mom, I don't need a real job. I'm building passive income streams." Well, relax. That's not crazy. That's your brain training for greatness. And speaking of arguing, geniuses don't just fight with imaginary people, they also have the audacity to constantly question real-life rules. Habit number 9, breaking rules on purpose. Now, before you start thinking I'm crazy, let me be clear about something. We're not talking about robbing banks or jaywalking just because you're bored. High IQ individuals break rules strategically. They don't rebel for fun, they rebel because the rules often don't make sense. Smart people ask, why are we doing this? Who said this is the only way? What happens if we try something different? And 9 times out of 10, that question opens doors no one else even noticed were locked. Take Elon Musk. The rule in aerospace was that rockets are single-use. Build it, launch it, and let it crash into the ocean. Musk looked at that and thought, that's dumb. What if we made rockets reusable, like airplanes? Boom! SpaceX created. Billions saved. An entire industry flipped upside down. Or think about Picasso. Everyone was painting realistic portraits. He smashed the rules and invented Cubism. People laughed, called it ugly. Fast forward, his paintings sell for hundreds of millions. Rule breaking literally became priceless. Now let's bring it to money. The traditional rule society feeds you is work 40 hours a week for 40 years, retire at 65. But geniuses break that script. They build side hustles, invest early, automate income streams. They bend the rules of money until the money starts bending for them. Meanwhile, the average person follows every rule to the letter and wonders why they're still stuck in debt. So if you've ever looked at the normal path and thought, nah, there's got to be a smarter way, congratulations. That's not laziness. That's your genius refusing to settle for mediocrity. And the funniest part? At first, rule breakers look reckless, but when their idea works, everyone else suddenly calls it visionary. And if you thought rule breaking was rebellious, wait for this. Because geniuses also have one final habit that confuses everyone. They're weirdly comfortable being alone. Habit number 10, loving solitude. Here's a habit people misunderstand all the time. Geniuses love being alone. Not because they're antisocial or weird, but because silence is where the magic happens. Basically, it goes like this. Average brains crave constant noise. Group chats buzzing, Netflix humming, friends dragging them out for another night of overpriced cocktails. High IQ individuals, they'd rather sit quietly and wrestle with their own thoughts, because that's where breakthroughs live. Think of solitude like Wi-Fi for the brain. In groups, the signal's weak, too many distractions. Alone, it's full bars. That's when big ideas finally download. History backs this up. Nikola Tesla spent hours in solitude imagining inventions before building a single prototype. Bill Gates takes Think Weeks, where he isolates himself with nothing but books and ideas, and comes back with billion-dollar strategies. And here's the finance tie-in. Solitude is where you stop copying everyone else's money mistakes. Most people go broke because they follow the crowd, spend what they spend, buy what they buy, chase what they chase. Smart people step back, unplug, and actually think about their money. That's where wealth-building decisions happen. So if you're the type who skips happy hour to stay home with a notebook, a podcast, or, let's be real, a YouTube video like this one, you're not boring. You're sharpening your edge while everyone else is dulling theirs with small talk. Because here's the truth. Genius doesn't fear being alone. Genius fears wasting time. So let's run it back now so I know you've been paying attention. Talking to yourself? Genius. Messy desk? Genius. Staying up late? Genius. Taking obsessive notes, noticing tiny details, daydreaming, pacing, arguing with imaginary people, breaking rules, and loving solitude. All signs your brain is operating on a different frequency. The point is, the quirks you thought were flaws might actually be your hidden strengths. If you recognized even 3 of these habits in yourself, don't freak out. You might just be smarter than you realize, or at least weird enough to hang with the geniuses. If this video made you realize your weird little quirks might actually be your superpowers, drop a comment with the word genius so I know you're part of the high IQ squad. And here's the thing, having a high IQ doesn't automatically mean you'll be successful. Plenty of geniuses stay broke because they never learn the money game. So if you want to know how to actually turn brain power into bank accounts, check out my next video. 12 money hacks the rich pray you never learn. Because trust me, intelligence alone won't make you rich. But combine it with these hacks, you're unstoppable. We'll see you in the next video.